Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandra Palmer. I'm the Senior Curator in Global Textiles and Fashion at the Royal Ontario Museum. And today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Joseph Wong, who's a donor to the ROM. And we're going to talk about one piece of clothing, and it's a Chanel tie. How do you do, Joseph? How are you today?
Hi, Dr. Palmer. I'm good. How's everyone?
I think we're all okay, even though Toronto's now in stage 2, so maybe things are looking up.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. So, Joseph, you came to Canada from Hong Kong in the 60s with your parents, right, as a child?
Yes, we immigrated in 1967. My parents were doctors, so they raised 2 boys in Don Mills. I was schooled here in Southern Ontario. I went to McMaster. After I got my MBA, I started working in the financial services, and I'm still working in the financial services.
Tell us about your engagement with fashion.
You know, the transition from Hong Kong to Canada was really a transition from a world of school uniforms to a world where we had the freedom to choose what we wear. Because of that, I was aware of fashion and design very early on. I was aware of how it really enhanced our lives.
So I think we first met in the early 2000s when you offered the museum some of your wardrobe.
Well, that started after I saw the Versace retrospective in '97 at the Met in New York.
Mm-hmm.
On display there were pieces which I also had in my wardrobe, and that was my first clue that a museum could be interested in modern day clothing. So then that's when I approached Yuk itself to see whether the ROM would be interested in taking some of my Versace pieces into the ROM's collections.
As with most collections, we have much more women's wear than men's wear. And Versace's pretty nice menswear, and it looks wonderful on display. So I was thrilled.
Well, growing up in Toronto in the 70s and 80s was a very exciting time. There was an influx of Japanese and Italian designers. New shapes, new textures, and that's when I started to experiment with different styles, patterns, and I attempted to cut patterns myself and try to assemble them, and there were many disasters along the way, but some pieces found their way to the ROM's collections, thanks to you. And so, yes, as the Italians and Japanese came in, I tried all of them. Mm-hmm. And I think you have some of my Miyake.
Happily. And when you went to buy the Chanel tie?
In those days, my parents liked taking the family on cruises. And on cruises, we had dress codes for dinner. So a tie was necessary. So that's why I was doing the shopping.
Can you tell us what you were looking for and what you were going to wear it with?
By the time I was looking for the Chanel tie, the mood in fashion had switched from the bright prints of Versace to the Tom Ford mood. It was a dark and sultry, sexy period. So I wanted to go dark for my wardrobe.
And what did Tom Ford say?
Well, that quote, I believe, was from a Vanity Fair article that I read. When I find a color darker than black, I will embrace it.
It's great. Yeah.
So that was the mood. That set the entire mood for post-Versace clothing. Mm-hmm. Dark, sultry, sexy. And so to go with the dark suit, the bright colored ties, the prints I had really was not fresh anymore.
Right.
So the search was on for a darker tie, more subdued, so no more prints. I just went for dots. And I ended up finding the one at Chanel. But it was too dark, I thought. It didn't jump out enough at me, I guess. Deep down, I still like the colors and the exuberance of Versace. So I tried to add a little sparkle to the tie. It became a DIY situation. So the reflective quality of the silver threads was what I was after. I suppose I could have done it with clear paillettes as well. I just went to a notion store. It wasn't a craft store, so they didn't have any paillettes. That was the shiniest thing there. I found the tie, didn't have much time to even think about it. I just knew that I wanted it brighter, even though I don't want it too colorful. I wanted it brighter.
Mm-hmm.
And a silver thread I thought would reflect some light. And well, it turned out okay because I did wear
it. And you wore it with a suit, right?
It was a black and white end-on-end linen suit from Nino Ciucchetti. He had a store in Toronto in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that dark, monotone gray look, gray-black look that I was looking for, with a little twist of color in there, which is the dark burgundy.
Yeah.
If I could just somehow get the silver thread in there. The tie, the dots on the tie were blue, and I figured I didn't really want the blue anyway. I didn't really want color. So if I could cover over the blue, might be where I want it to be.
Right. And I guess it was. Well, I think you did it very beautifully. And I particularly like the inside where you can see all your like careful cross stitching and this sort of checkerboard.
This tie was, it came unlined. So I didn't have to take apart much of anything. I just had to unstitch the center seam, and voila, it opened up.
Right. It's because it's a very, very nice silk twill that it doesn't have to be lined. It has such a gorgeous body to it.
Oh.
Well, I was very interested in the tie when you showed me because it was Chanel, and I think it's one of the first Chanel menswear pieces in the museum. But then when you told me that you'd embroidered it, I became extremely entranced with it. Because, of course, embroidery is usually thought of nowadays as women's work, and it has been a lot. But it has also been done by, there's lots of male professional embroiderers around the world, as well as unprofessional ones such as yourself. And but it's something that's not really well known or much talked about. And I love that at the end of the 21st century, right in Toronto, we have someone who's enthusiastic enough to take on a small project like this.
Well, that was a very nice period, but then I'm dating myself. Yes. Business wear these days does not require tie, really. So it's a different world.
It is a different world. Well, I think perhaps it's subtle. What you did is subtle, and it sounds extravagant, but it's really very elegant, I think.
Oh, thank you. But those were the times. It was it was that period in time. The colorful prints aren't there anymore. I figure I would send you a rainbow to celebrate, right?
Yes, it's nice, and it is. And hopefully post-COVID, we'll have some more room for some more rainbow ties in the museum. And I took a picture of actually where your tie lives, which is in the tie drawer in the museum, which goes from 18th century cravats to your tie being one of the most modern, and some that I vintage ones that I bought, which have paintings of Van Gogh and the great masters on them. So ties really are a canvas for many things.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure having this dialogue with you for 20 years.
Yeah. Okay, Joseph. Well, we'll see you maybe with my mask, which is another fashion accessory we have to start thinking about now and taking it seriously.
Yes, we do. So stay healthy and safe, and we hope to see you soon.
You too, Joseph. Thank you very much for your time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.